Well, holy shit, man. I gotta be honest, T. We have a mixed bag tonight, I think. Got some good things and bad things, but we'll see how it goes. How you doing? Welcome back to Wook Plus, everybody. I'm Weekend Wook, joined by T tonight. T, what'd you think about tonight's show?
Overall,
Yeah, let's get big picture first before we dive into the nitty gritty.
I think it was a pretty solid show. It definitely had some good jams, a lot of up moments, a lot of high notes. Paige was, I thought, an MVP tonight. I thought he really had some good jams in there and some really cool moments. There were some flubs, some flaws, some fuck ups that we'll talk about, but overall, I think it was a good show.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think it was a mixed bag, and I think some of the lower things, the lower points, were particularly low, which hurt. But I don't want to completely take away from some of the absolute, you know, really high
Right.
highlights. So,
I agree. And I don't think it's necessary to always have to fluff them. It's okay to talk about sometimes when they fuck up because there are fucker.
oh, we're
It's
about to.
we're,
Oh, we're about
and it's good. I think
to.
just setting the foundation sometimes you need to because it's not always sunshine and roses. There are, technical issues and other issues that play into things. And tonight was kind of an example of that.
Right.
I
Hello,
do.
Llama.
Yeah, I just want to say why we're talking about flubs and fuck ups. That a professional athlete in baseball only hits the ball if he's good 3 out of 10 times, right? And that's the best in the world. So,
Ooh, baseball analogies.
right, yeah. So I'm thinking they were batting above 300 for the show overall. Still,
Yeah, I think so.
you
I
know.
think I think this was a high batting average for
Right.
sure.
So just keep that in mind, I guess, as we're digesting it. Did we think overall it was a good show? Because I think we might get a little technical, right, with the
Oh, I'm
flaws.
about to get really technical and analyze the shit out of this as we do. I fucked it up. All right. So starting off with Strawberry Letter 23, anything that's from that Baker's era really just sits well in my mind. I have a really soft spot. Um, I think it's a fun way to open. I saw a lot of mixed signals on it or mixed responses to it, but I'm not going to complain about it. I think this is a really fun way to start the show.
I think you hit it on the head right there with it's fun. It's a fun way to start a show. Like it's easy. It's not, it's not like an ACDC bag or Buried Alive or something like that kind of kicks in and you're like, ooh, it's going to be one of those nights. It's just a very fun, cool way to start the show. And it's a fun song. And I like that placement of it opening the show. It just kind of works there. And it's like a fun spot for it to be. And does sort of set that tone of it's going to be a fun night. Like
We're gonna
hopefully
have a
it's,
little quirky fish tonight. It's gonna be a
yeah,
little weird.
right. Right.
And then we get right into a jam, which this I think is one of the things I've really liked about tonight. All tour, they've been very safe, very small songs in the first set until, well, last 2 nights ago, they kind of started to open it up. But here, right in the two spot with the gin that got 14 minutes long, and was a nice jam. Uh, it was a little bit fucked up though in the beginning, right?
I
I
was
don't
going to
know what
say
was
this is
going
our
on
first.
there.
Yeah, this is kind of our first technical issue or first time we'll talk about sort of a fuck up. And the beginning was a little rough. Definitely the vocals Trey, it was a little off. There was something that was definitely a little weird. That whole first segment was a little weird, which was weird because he was off, but then they kind of cut the Page and Page was doing his part really well and sort of carrying it through that muddledness of that opening. I felt like so.
I'm wondering if there was an in-ear or like a monitor issue too, because he kept losing the pitch and the key, and he like this one. It almost sounded like it was strained. I know we were kind of discussing if it was strained or off, but he was reaching for it, like he couldn't find the pitch, and then that's exactly what happened several times. I mean, I think we'll just have a counter. We'll like put a check mark up as we go through the set every time Trey lost the pitch.
And I wonder if it was, something like that, because especially during Walls, there was that moment where he kept kind of looking over at Page or whatever to see where he was at or like where he should be. And it was very weird. And it kind of started with Jen. I thought like that was the first inclination that something was not quite right with the ship tonight. Like something was a little off. So Mission Control, we definitely had a little bit of problem. That's kind of where it started.
The nice thing with the gin though is that he didn't let it go on tilt or fuck up the jam. They had a really nice up tempo jam. And on paper, 14 minutes is, it's a nice size, but when you listen to it, it's 14 minutes of pretty ripping jam. So,
Yeah,
uh,
and I thought right around that 10, 11-minute mark, they kind of switched up that jam, and I really liked where that kind of hit and kind of took into. And I thought maybe we were going to get another extended 8 to 10 minute jam out of that where we were going there, but it was only about a 4 more minutes of that jam, of that 3 or 4 more minutes of that we got. And I was like excited where we were kind of headed there because I really like kind of the shift in it, but then it kind
yeah.
of just
Well,
it just kind of
they stumbled across that segue, which I think is, it was there and they had to take it because I thought it was a really well executed segue into Back on the Train. I kind of was in the same boat as you, like, give me a little bit more of it, but I can't complain when it's, if it's a little, I want a little bit more and it's a ripcord, then that I think is unfortunate. But if it's, I want a little bit more, but you give me a really nice segue, I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, I dig it.
and you're getting a 14-minute song in the 2 slot followed by another good jammy vehicle and Back on the Train, right? Like what they've kind of done with that and sort of where it's gotten to these days, especially because they seem to play it a lot more these last couple of years, a lot more. It's
Yeah.
kind of gotten legs to it, and it kind of has a little bit of something in it. So it was kind of, Kevin and I always talk about with the Dead shows how there's always that reentry, right? Like no matter where they take you, especially like in Birdsong, you can get so lost, but there's always a reentry point. Like it always comes back in. Phish doesn't always give you that a lot of times, and this was a perfect example of that. With like Gin didn't have that reentry point. Instead, we had a great segue into Train. So you didn't really have that reentry. You just sort of had that, okay, we're moving on, we're going into the next song, and we just sort of went right into it, which was cool. It just kind of then started that next jam and that next song.
Which they did have a nice return in for Train, which was good, right? So it kind of still gave you some conclusion. I like that though. And maybe this is just a personal preference. I like that everything's not finished. I understand and I can appreciate the desire to want to finish everything, but and actually Trey and Phish have been doing that a lot more in 4.0 than they had been in years previous.
Yeah.
But I kind of like things being left unfinished. Yeah, Eric, chats are working. We're not pulling up as many comments because we want to keep the set list up, but we hear you. We see you. Let us
And
know
there
what
was a
you
couple
think.
times tonight where we even talked about like there was opportunities to kind of maybe come back in, especially we'll get to it later, but in that second set with the No Man's going into Beneath the Sea of Stars, I thought maybe they'd come back into No Man's after that, just to play with it, like they don't do a lot of sandwich songs where they go off and put something in the middle and come back, unless it's like a Mike's or something like that, where then you get the Pog with a couple, maybe like a simple or something in there as well. So they don't really do that a lot, but it would be fun to see that a little bit more. So you might get, like something that comes back in after a song in the middle of it.
I was feeling all good about this Back on the Train, and then you have to bring up the worst ripcord of this tour so far. I'm like, God damn, T.
Sorry,
talk about it.
Sorry, we'll get to that. We'll get to it in the second set. But you should feel good about that Train. It was good. It was fun,
loose too, which
it
is
was
nice.
cool. And it had a good like we said, that one did have an interesting re-entry back into it to finish it off, which I thought was cool, and like a little bit of different vocals, which they did a couple times tonight with the vocals of coming back into songs, like with Disease, especially. It was kind of a fast lyric ending, but Train was sort of, again, a lot of things in the first set kind of set up things in the second set. So
right, a lot of foreshadowing.
Yeah, a lot.
I absolutely loved having a mid-set Coil. And so I mean, I don't want them to do it again now, right? Like we got it, and like you don't make it a thing, but
it's kind of nice because it's not the walk off then, so you're not getting that slow walk off, and it's cool to see them stay up there and watch Page instead of like walk off and maybe stand on the side of stage and do their thing or whatever. It was cool to see them on there and then get Phish's drum kind of to end it with Page, which you don't often get because it's often just Page up there finishing out the solo. So I thought that was really cool, and I was very excited when they played that in the middle of the set. You're like, yes, we're gonna get something out of this, and what we got out of it was awesome because that's kind of what you like, the slow down thing and whatever, and then let's go, like rock.
Yeah, I mean, Axilla definitely did its job. I actually was thinking it's serviceable, not because it wasn't good, but because it's kind of always at that level for me. I think it's a consistent player. I was thinking though during Walls of the Cave if Trey regretted putting Coil in the middle of the set, right? Like he's like, I should have just gone out with Coil.
right, because then he had to sort of, like you said in our chat, like he had to do 46 days because he was like, I'm not going out with that. Like we have to do something else to finish this. But I never understand why I think Kevin is that always complains about Axilla, like he hates it. He wishes they do like part 1 more or whatever, and he always gives it shit. But I love it. It's just such a rocker. Like it's the energy. It gives you that energy that you want. And Coil already kind of had you on a high note because it's such a beautiful song and what it is, and you kind of have that slowdown, and then boom, yes.
I like to get that shit out of my face, and the whole thing is just a great experience live, especially because with Crota putting the lights on you.
Totally.
No, it's awesome. That 40. I know. I'm going with it because you're kind of all over the place. I'm like, fuck it, let's go with it. That 46 days was short, but man, I love a redemption shredding. I love when Trey's just like, I'm not leaving this set with that on people's mind, and he was just ripping his part through that.
Which was funny though, because well, we'll talk about when we get to it. Let's go ahead and finish with Yamar first, because I was going to go into Walls for a second, but let's go into yes. Hi, Llama.
Why we're ripcording the shit out of this conversation? I have a question to pose for you guys about the rest of this set and the Coil coming up, right?
Okay.
Do you think it was a nod and a thank you to Paige kind of for carrying that Bathtub gin and kind of, okay, tonight, right now, Paige has it. He has the hot hand. We're going to kind of let him lead things.
Yeah, I was wondering if there was something like if it was something special for Paige tonight, because he got 2 Leo outs. We almost got a Leo trio. He had 3 big moments of playing tonight that, as well as all his other things. But to your point, Llama, I felt like, to use your baseball analogy, he was pretty much 3 for 4 from the plate tonight with probably like 2 home runs tonight. Like he had a big night.
I think it was definitely on purpose, but no, I doubt it was a reward or associated any way to a performance done earlier in that set. I think it was probably more of like a preconceived thought, something either at sound check or green room or the day before, you know what I mean? Like there was something where they're like, because they do that. You have Phish nights, right? We had one a couple days ago where it was a Fishman night, and you have Mike nights, and I think this was kind of a more preconceived thing.
I will concede that reward was the wrong term and word in that.
Good.
I will say that is 100% wrong. I guess more of, hey, he has the hot hand, we're gonna let him go with it.
Lean into it
was more of what I think I was trying to get at.
I think that's fair.
I think that's
I think
it's
that's
more
fair.
of like he's feeling it tonight. He's shooting lights out. Just keep feeding him the ball. Let him like kind of carry us through this tonight type thing.
So the Yamar was really clean. I gotta say, because I'm always ripping on Mike, and you guys, if you've watched the show, I've have my qualms with his vocals. This is a song that I really enjoy and like his singing on, and I just like this song. And obviously with Leo playing, I thought Trey's guitar work was super breezy, just very delicate and light, and worked really well with it. A big fan of it. Wish I got a little bit more of it, but can't get a lot out of every song. So what do you
I agree completely. I had that same note as it sounded great. The guitar part was so spot on, whereas some of the vocals were flubbed in some of the songs. A lot of the guitar work tonight was spot on, I thought, by Trey. So that was nice to see. I thought Yamar, sometimes you can have a little bit of exactly, it was the cheesesteak. It gave him the energy, the hometown cheesesteak.
That's a good note, by the way. If you want Llama to put your comment on the screen, just talk about sandwiches. Llama's a big sandwich fan. He will get that shit up, and tacos too.
Tacos, sandwiches, and baseball. You're probably going to get on.
You're going to get your comment up on the screen.
But yeah, I thought that Yamar, and to your point, like Mike's lyrics good, but I thought that was a very balanced song. I thought that was one of the more balanced songs of the set. Like they kind of really nailed it in those aspects where they had problems with other songs.
Yep. Yeah, and I similar with Blaze On, I felt was clean. It was a nice type 1 jam. Didn't get too Llama. You can put your own damn comment up there. It was a nice clean type 1 jam, kept the energy up. for this set. I'm kind of going through these few real quick.
This was
Stop me if
another
you
one
want.
though where I thought the beginning was a little fucked up at the beginning. Like Trey had a little bit of problems with the lyrics. It sounded a little bit again like he was off. He couldn't quite get where he wanted to get with the, and for as many times as they've played Blaze and where it's gone, like it just sounded a little rough to start. And this was the second time tonight. I noticed that after the gen, but the jam again made up for it. It didn't have that build like sometimes it does. It just kind of jammed and then jammed a little higher, like it just was kind of a full force jam that really just sort of went. And then they came back into the lyrics where I thought they were going to stretch it out a little bit more like they've been doing with Blaze. And like you said a little bit ago, a lot of the first set songs have sort of been truncated and a little bit shorter. And I thought this was a perfect example of that as well. Like it didn't quite get to where Blaze sometimes gets to these days.
Right. I mean, it had something there, but just not
Yeah.
to the potential that it has had. But I'm not going to poo poo it because I really liked this part of the set. And actually, at this point, right going into Waste, I was thinking and making notes that this was the best first set of the tour. And at this point, I was like, this is a raging show. This is an A+ show. I was, the vocal things we talked about. I've never been a big, I don't give a shit usually because it's the jamming and the playing that I care about way more. But then we had Walls of the Cave. By the way, Waste is awesome. I was laying in bed with my wife and new baby girl. She's like a week old, and not to get like cheesy or corny, but Waste was just perfect. It's like
that's a great moment. That's a great
amazing.
moment. And I mean, Waste is what it is, right? It's not to use the word in a bad way, but it's serviceable. Like you know what you're going to get with it, and it does what it needs to do. And tonight was a perfect example of that. It was a great version of it, where it usually is a great version of it most of the time, and tonight was one of those.
That's the song that gets me with the emotions. Everybody keeps talking about like Miss You and More and like these like newer songs, and I get that, and I appreciate that it hits other people emotionally. They don't really resonate with me that well. But like Waste is a song that does get me in those,
It's the one ballad that I do enjoy, so to speak. You know what I mean? It's not one. I mean, like I like some of the newer songs. I do like Miss You and Lonely Trip and those things, but like Waste is always going to be one of my favorite slow ballad songs because it's been around forever and you have memories of it from back in the day with it and what it's kind of just always been. And just like tonight with you and the kids, like that's awesome. And it's just those. It always sort of has those moments, whether you're at it at the show or at home or wherever. It's a good song.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. Okay, let's talk about this Walls of the Cave. I am a huge fan of this song in general. I don't love the beginning of it, but the end is typically just such a raging fun way to end a set that when they started playing it, I got really excited. And it took me a minute or two of into Trey fucking up to understand what was going on because I was like, wait, no. And then and so at first it sounded to me like he was losing the pitch and the key, but then it sounded like he forgot the words.
Yeah.
What the hell was going on with
I don't know,
that?
and that's why I couldn't figure out if like his thing was, and he didn't know where they were in the song, and that's why he was looking at Paige to kind of see where they were. But then it felt like Paige didn't know where they were either, so it kind of felt like they were both kind of off, and it just felt really weird and muddled and a mess kind of. And you're like, what is happening? Because just like you, whenever that song comes, it's usually that first set closer, and you're like, yes, let's just rip City in this first set on a high note, shred the shit out of it, and then enjoy a set break. Tonight was a very, from the get-go, you were kind of like, ooh, like, is this how we're gonna go out on the set? And then even the jam never quite.
Well, that was the problem. Is if it was just the vocal slip-ups and then they got back on pace, I think it would have been one thing. The issue with this one, I think the reason this one is going to go down as an actual bad moment versus just, oh, that was a cute flub, is that it never got back on. Trey had a bad re-entry. Then Phish was thrown off with this drum part. Then they were timid coming in. Then it was just kind of like, oh shit, let's just survive this. Like we just got to get to the end.
That's what it felt like. And it felt like the one time where a ripcord was completely necessary. Like this was one of those like bail out, like just end it.
I love this comment because we were talking about polyrhythms last show. So this is a poly flub. They were layering the flubs on top of each other. It was wild. Like only Phish can, man. It was just flub after flub, but holy shit. And then as I said before, though, I'm so grateful and glad that Trey came in with the redemption shred and gave us a little bit of a palate cleanser and a going away gift into set break. I thought that was nice of him.
And you get 2 ragers in a row, usual ragers in a row, right? Like Walls of the Cave in 46 Days usually kick some ass. So it was nice to have, like we said, that set ender to still stand upon to go out on. Yes,
Yeah.
Llama.
What's up, Llama?
There's a bit of dissension in the chat that I guess you being a drummer could speak to, that Phish took over and rescued the jam and that he wasn't timid. Maybe you could speak to what to you made it timid.
No, well, so I don't think he took over to rescue the jam. I think he took over because that's what he's supposed to do. That's the written part is supposed to come in with the that like drum part is the written part. The problem is before he could come in, Trey had a misentry where he hit the wrong note at the wrong time. And so there was a stutter there. And then Phish was just like, fuck it, I'm going for it. When I mentioned people being timid, it was Mike and Paige and Trey building up underneath that. Because normally when you listen to Walls of the Cave, Phish lays down that beat consistently and the rest of the band builds up underneath it. So it's like Phish is here and the rest of the band meets up with him. But tonight, Phish was actually a little bit louder than normal, raging on it. But then the rest of the band was like pussyfoot, and they were like, okay, should we? And then so it never really locked in. I would agree, though. I would not say Phish was timid. I was thinking the rest of the band was timid. So if I said that, I misspoke. Last thing I want to say about this set, which is very interesting, I think this should be a trivia maybe, is a set with a Coil and a Walls of the Cave, and neither one of them closed the set. Like, that's crazy.
That's true. And Llama said 10/15/21 was the last time Coil wasn't a closer. So
when was the last time Walls of the Cave wasn't a closer?
that's a really good question. That's a good question. I think that was the 300th gen as well. So there were some numbers in that first set, I believe. I think we said that was 299 coming in. I think that was at the 300th. And then that was the 99th waist. So the next waist will be the 100th waist as well. Just some random trivial numbers there for everybody.
Love stats, man. I love it.
Housekeeping. Walls of the Cave wasn't the closer the last time it was played either, in 414. So it hasn't been a closer the last few times.
Well, all right.
Interesting.
You could have just told me that afterwards. You didn't. Damn, Mama. I mean, shit. We'll go out on a limb.
I was kind of disappointed when I saw it. So misery loves company.
So we'll be back tomorrow night, 15 minutes after Encore. But also Thursday, we're having Benji Eisen and Scott Bernstein on, and we're going to do a deeper dive into the first half of this tour. So definitely come by and check that out. That'll be at 9 Eastern. Going to be a blast. Those two are like legends and authorities when it comes to Phish. So I'm really excited to actually hear what they have to say about this first half of tour. Also, the following Thursday, T and Llama are talking to Taper's Choice, which is right before Choice Fest, right?
Yep.
So that's going to be another epic special presentation. So set that in your calendars. The best thing to do is honestly just subscribe to the channel and ring the bell for notifications, because we have something almost every day this month and a lot of great shit planned. And then Live, for those of you OG fans that are wondering when that's coming back, right after MSG, Live will be back on Wednesday nights in its usual time and its usual bad self. So I think that's it. Oh, and we have memberships now, and we're bringing in more of that. So if you feel inclined and you want to join the Wook crew, join the membership, and welcome. So let's bring in this second set. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, Llama is a legend. Tom, I agree. All right, T, take us off. Start us off with this. What'd you think?
I thought, you could see it coming because the long pause, like the long dramatic intro. I liked getting the Awfully Hard on the Beaver sample in there to start, always funny. And then sort of that, okay, we know where we're going. Sweet. It's a good opener. Disease has become such a jam vehicle these days that very excited for that to open the set and see where it was going to go and how long it was going to go and what we were going to build on after that for the rest of the set. And it was a crazy sweet jam in there. I thought I hit some really cool spots in there. It had a little bit of weird energy in it, but the jam was crazy. And then the end of it, I thought was unique too. The way they just kind of came in and was really fast at the end with the lyrics to end the song. Like it didn't. We talk about the reentries,
Yeah.
and this was a really fun, different reentry, so to speak.
I didn't like it. I'll be honest.
like
it was a little off.
I was
Too
in the
much for me.
kitchen getting pizza, and I was like, "Wait, are they ending this? Like, are they back into season? Is he ending the song like this? Like, it was kind of.
I
like
like that they ended it, but I felt like he was reaching again, like he was off key on
like
it.
they were trying just to get out of it or something, which was weird because the jam was so good. Like where they were going with it, I really enjoyed where it was headed, and then it was just sort of because it was still fast, right? They were still going, and then from to come in with the lyrics, you were like, why are
you doing that? Yeah, Fishman has just been raging and keeping everything super up tempo, and he was super consistent in this jam. One thing I noticed about this too, I wanted to point out, is a new thing that Page has been doing this tour that I don't feel like he'd done as much previously, is those really fat, loud synth beds that he lays, where like you have this, I don't want to say standard in like a derogatory way, but it was like a pretty standard Disease Launchpad like jam at first, and then Page coming with this like wah, and like laying those big synth beds, and it instantly opens the jam up and allows them to get creative with it. And he did that a couple of times this tour. I really like that.
Yep.
No, I'm glad I'm actually glad that you liked those vocals at the end, because I was kind of down on it, but I was torn too. I was like, I like the effort, I just didn't like the execution, but I'm glad that you could appreciate that too.
Yeah, it's something different. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes something like that does. And I thought tonight it was kind of, I don't know. I thought it worked. I thought it was an interesting. It worked because of where they were in the jam, right? Because it was such a high pace, high energy jam at that moment that it just kind of worked to sort of do that. I didn't agree with like necessarily stopping the song right there because I wanted more of that jam, but it was an interesting way to do it.
And then we get the well for the second time. The first time was earlier in the tour, only went out for 8 minutes. Well played, but this one they took it quite a bit further. I gotta say I don't like the beginning of this song, but what are you gonna do? But from the dark point on, I'm all about it. I love it.
I mean, well, what can you say, right? Like, I mean, a lot of times I'd prefer Top Shelf over the Well, but tonight's Well was definitely a top shelf. Like tonight, that thing raged. I thought like dark, evil Phish came in. I feel like there's a lot of opportunity for this thing to have like a my friend around it, or a Saw It Again around it, or even a Carini out of it or into it.
Egg in a hole for the
egg in a hole. Exactly. Like
Yeah.
it's got that energy to it. So it'll be fun to see down the road what they combine with it. And if they do kind of go a little bit more evil with it and take some of the jams into that or out of that or something like that.
But why do they even have the beginning part? Why not just start it with the good shit?
Well, you can do that, right? Like come into it in a Carini jam, and then you don't have to worry about like the lyric. Just sort of like just start screaming the well and shit in it, and just kind of go with the jam.
Yeah, just come out on stage, go, oh, the well, and then right into the dark.
Exactly. Like...
What I loved about this particular version was when Phish shifted to the toms, and he was doing this like really cool, almost like Afro-Cuban tom fill linear beat. And at first it was with the dark heavy guitar, so it gave you this like unsettling thing, and then Trey came over and matched him, and it created a very cool dichotomy of like minor chords and like dark structure but happy groove, right? So it was like a happy groove with a dark like melodic structure to it, and I really liked it. I was like, this is feels very cool for a jam, unique.
It does, and I wrote on my notes like I love how messy it got, and it just reminded me of the Phish that I love from a while back and stuff, where it's just sort of these crazy jams like that, where it's a little bit evil, but there's still underlying goodness in there to it, and so it's not quite completely dark. And I really, this was, to me, this was probably my favorite song tonight, just because of the difference in it, and it being new and sort of getting that second playthrough and sort of really starting to tinker with it and play with it and start to expanding on what they can do with it. I thought it was really cool.
I want to touch on Jacob's question, but I want to, one last thing about this. I thought the deconstruction at the end was a little bit sloppy when they were returning to the head of it, but I don't mind sloppy in a jam like that when they pull it back together. It's almost like a creative artistic decision, right? I think that is different than what happened with the Walls of the Cave. It didn't feel like a mistake. It just felt like they really loosened it up before pulling it back
And it's
in.
only the second time they've played it, so they're still trying to figure out that re-entry and trying to figure out some of those things, I feel like. So there's a lot of space to grow with it.
Yeah. Llama, I appreciate that, but I actually am going to touch on it real quick because with the Well coming back twice and Oblivion last time, I just want to go through some of these new songs. Tia, not to throw you under the bus, but for me, I think Oblivion is top tier out of the new ones, and then the Well and On Pillow Jets were probably the next two that I had. Do you have any that are standing out to you?
No, I kind of agree with you. I kind of put Oblivion as 1B now. I kind of jumped the Well up there just because of this version of it. Again, I need to hear it again, see where they go with it. I definitely liked it more than Pillow Jets. But you know, I feel like if it can maintain this darkness and this sort of where it could get to with some of these things, could be a really fun jam inside of some darker jams too and whatnot. So I think it's really cool. I think it has a lot of potential.
Yeah, I agree. I think overall, pound for pound, this class, because we've had so much new music now. It's like it's not just like eras or whatever. It's like classes, right? Like I think this class is a top tier class for me. I think Sci-Fi and Cosvat were very high end. I think some of the Ghost stuff for me was lower, and the Big Boat era was even lower. But I think these new songs are right in the upper echelon of newer material. As far as that goes.
And it gives them, yeah, I like where we can get some of the jams in some of these new songs, right? It almost feels like they're built to jam, right? Whereas some of the Casvots and the other one, they're so silly and fun, which is great with the lyrics. They don't necessarily like Santos or whatever. Like you're not going to get a huge jam out of Santos. You just kind of get what it is. It rocks.
There's been a couple Monster Santos,
right? But
overall,
it's that overall feeling. Like I like these kind of feel like a fresh palette and a fresh like way to get some of that new energy and some of those new jams in there. Well, we got the finger up.
I know. I just want to get us kind of back on track. I think we got a really good segue here. Given the Well and given the Disease, where they tried something new in both of them, which one you feel would you prefer if you only had to have one? Like, which one are you re-listening to first, right?
The Well. I'm going back to the Well 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, I agree. And that was 36 minutes to open the first set, right? Like 36 minutes of great opening music to listen to there. I thought that was really great way to start it. And then we can move on to this No Man's now. And 6 minutes is kind of short.
It is a crime, is what it is, because it wasn't even a bad jam. It was a glorious start of a jam.
Right.
They had this thing where they were doing the double time riffs and passing it around, and they were so locked in. Why on this goddamn God's green earth did Trey decide to ripcord that? It had so much potential. And he's just like, oh, Beneath the Sea of Stars, fuck all you guys. I don't care what you want. This is my show.
This is my show. This is my song. And what's funny is I was thinking that same thing to myself, as it's going on, you're like, why would he do this? But then you see him up on stage, like doing his little dance and like loving it. And so you're like, well, he loves what he's doing. And he loves the fact that he did this. He doesn't really give a shit about all of our opinions and us going, why would you kill that jam? So it's so funny to see that. But a 6 minute, it just, that kills me. Cause that song, just like Walls, gets to places that rip and shred, and that's what you kind of are looking
No Man's,
forward
you
to.
mean?
Huh?
You're talking about No Man's.
No Man's and Walls kind of get to those places, and this one being 6 minutes is criminal. Like it
really is.
It's tough. Really tough.
I feel like maybe he's just exerting his dominance. He's like, I can record this, and all these wooks are coming back tomorrow night, and there's nothing they can do about it.
Just whipping it out and pissing all over the stage. Like, oh, you don't care.
It's like, take my piss in your ears, assholes. That said, I do think Beneath the Sea of Stars is a very beautiful song, and I think if it were a better place and not ripcord out of No Man's, I would be all about it. I couldn't enjoy it tonight because I was frustrated, honestly, the whole time. I was like, why did you do this to me?
I agree. And I feel like there's a time and place for that song sometimes. Like, I don't know, when they played it in Santa Barbara under the, it was beautiful. I was like, this is a perfect moment for this song. Tonight, it just was not that perfect moment for that song. It just felt like an odd placement for it. So yeah, but I did like the segue into Piper. Like I thought that was really cool. We talked about this in our thread too. Like talk about a perfect opportunity to have a slow build into
You're
that
not
Piper.
getting
Like,
you're not getting a slow build Piper
I know,
ever
but
again.
listen, ever again. But if there was ever an opportunity, this was it. Because you could extend the end of that song into a slow build of the Piper and just kind of combine those two and let it kind of at least not even just let it build for a minute. Like let it go for a little bit. Man, he was jumped right into it. And I was like, oh, well, okay. I mean, I never will complain about getting a Piper ever, but it could have
at this point, you just want a standard build Piper. Like it's not forget slow build. There was a no build.
There was a no build, and this had a perfect opportunity for it. Like he really could have, like I felt like extended that into it and made it something really cool and like slow and like ooh. But no, he was just guns blazing. Let's go.
Are you saying Trey has to touch all the bases before he just slides into home?
You've lost me on the metaphors.
He's sliding into first.
He went straight to third. He skipped all the foreplay and just went straight to the meat of it.
He did.
Are we talking sports or?
It was a thinly veiled sports. Yes.
Okay. This Piper though, it got chunky and it was awesome, and it got chunky before it got really chunky because it's like you could feel it in the grooves and the guitar part, but then they take it to halftime, and holy shit, it just locked in. It was wonderful. I think as an isolated moment, not like the whole jam or the whole song, but that moment where they break it into halftime and give you the chunk, I think that was probably my highlight of the night. It was just like, that was where I actually stood up off the couch. I'm like, yes, this is it right here.
This is it. This is what I like. And again, I thought Page was on fire in this song. I thought he had some great moments in it. The jam got to that really nice place, as you said. And then that next level, it just kind of kept going. This was such a great jammy jam of tonight. Like it could have really built into it a little more, but I really loved where I loved it. Like the Piper, you can't really ever go wrong with a Piper. And tonight was a great example of when Piper is good.
Yeah, I agree. Little bit disappointed with Crosseyed. Not that it wasn't played well, but it was another one of those, like they've held off on it. They haven't played it in a little bit. I was really looking forward to it. Llama had the call earlier in the day. He was like, this is going to be the big song of the night. And it really should have been. It has a ton of potential. And it was just a serviceable, but not really kind of okay version awkwardly at the end of the set. I don't know.
And it had a great lead in, right? Like it had a great lead off there getting on bass for it. It needed to come up and like crush it. And it kind of didn't. It kind of
Piper loaded the bases. Hold on, Llama, tell me if I did this right. Piper loaded the bases and then Crosseyed struck out and left them all there.
There you go.
At the bottom of the eighth.
No.
Yeah,
you're at the bottom of the ninth. Bases are loaded. You have 0 outs, and Crosseyed just hit into a double
play.
So it didn't end the game, but it put you in a real shit position.
Yeah.
Okay. Got all you guys off base without any runs batted in. See, I know a couple of things.
You did good though. I liked your now. Like that was really good. I saw where you're going with it, and it made sense. It was very good. It was a good one.
Yeah, and I don't know. I guess this is the question. The Chalk Dust was ripping and raging and was up tempo and was a great way to end the set. But did we need that? Could we have just gotten that as the Crosseyed jam? And then I don't know.
Yeah, it was
right. Exactly, Tom. What was it necessary to do that segue? Pad stats, I guess. I don't know.
They kind of did 3 of them in a row though, like trying to do the Sea of Stars into Piper, the Piper into Crosseyed, then the Crosseyed into Chalk Dust. There was like a lot of those segues going into them that a couple of them felt a little forced and a little unnecessary. And Chalk Dust was definitely, I think it was just sort of like, again, like the first set, he was sort of like, let's get one more in here. Let's try and rip it so it ends on this like even higher note than like kind of the way Crosseyed sort of felt, you know?
Which honestly, maybe that's actually, hold on, that might actually, don't go anywhere though, but that might actually been a good call because the Crosseyed wasn't really inspired. It was very standard. And the Chalk Dust actually did feel a little bit elevated. So maybe we're just saying this, like looking at on paper, oh, I would rather it have been inspired, but it wasn't. Like, the fact of the matter is, it was an uninspired Crosseyed, and Trey knows that, and he's like, we have 8 minutes left. I could either try to save this in 8 minutes, or I could call an audible and win the game. Oh, we're mixing sports.
Oh, look at that again. And you know what? As you mentioned already before, it's sort of been the tour of shorter songs. So it made sense for him to sort of, I'm not feeling it. Let's get out of it and get into a new song and see if we can end it on that.
Yeah.
I was going to say to wrap up the baseball metaphor because somebody thought that 1 run scored, right? So no, what happened was you got 2 outs, right? Your guy, you got, it doesn't matter. You have 1 guy on base and you call in your audible, which should be your pinch hitter, which should be chalked as torture.
Yep.
And it goes
We
there,
did it, guys.
and it hits it, right? Except the runner gets caught in a pickle and it doesn't quite land, right?
Oh, I thought the chalk dust landed, though. I thought it was ripping. It was nice. It was up tempo.
It was a good way to go out, because I think if they had gone out with Crosseyed, we would have been like, that was a weird way to go out. Like, they needed something to finish it with, and I think chalk dust worked to finish it with, at least to get you out on like that woohoo note.
Yeah, I agree. And then Encore, waiting. Okay. Do you have anything to say? Because I don't.
No, it is what it is, right? It's just serviceable to open, and you know you're getting a second song, so you're more like, what's the second song going to be?
Llama has something to say. Llama has a lot to say.
That was a lot to say.
I just wanted to say that Crosseyed and Fire were both the debuts for this year that hadn't been played in 2023 yet.
Thanks, Llama. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's so if we needed something to talk about. Yeah.
Llama, when was the last time they played Fire?
722 at Bethel last year.
I was there. It was fire. It was in fact fire.
I mean, you're never going to complain about a Hendrix tune. At least I'm not. And it was a good way to end that. It kind of was a ripper. It sounded good. Trey nailed some of the guitar parts, and it left you on a high note. It left you going, all right, sweet. Let's end it on, you know, you could see the crowd fucking going Hendrix style. And it was a good way to go out after everything else. It was a good way to end it.
It felt like, to me, like a fan service, and I don't think we'll ever know. And we've had this debate, how much is written before, preconceived, or inspired in the moment. But to me, this felt like sorry guys, I fucked up that Walls of the Cave. Here's a fire. You know, please come back tomorrow. Oh, and support our SPAC shows for Vermont that is going to take place in New York.
It did. And, you know, the whole time we were playing it, though, I was thinking to myself, I miss so many, and we talk about this a lot. I miss so many of those covers. Like, we still get a good times, bad times every now and then, but like, you know, the Frankensteins and the Lagranges and like things that we don't really get as often anymore. It was nice to just kind of get that cover song that
awesome.
You yearn for sometimes, you know what I mean? So it was cool. Like A Day in the Life would have been nice there. Something else, you know, where, to your point, fan service wise, this kind of was in that definite zone of like, we're going to give you guys something a little bit different.
Yeah, I'm glad they did. I think overall, now that we've had a chance to parse through everything, I think this was a fun show. I think there was some major fuck ups. I think there's things that we'll be able to laugh about in hindsight, but overall, fun night. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow night.
I was going to say, what do you think is going to happen tomorrow night now? Do you think tomorrow night's going to be a rage fest? Because
rage.
They're going to know that like tonight was a little clunky. Tomorrow night, we're going to bring the fire. Literally.
Yep. Tomorrow's all killer, no filler. And we'll be here 15 minutes after Encore to cover it. Thanks, everybody. Like and subscribe. We'll see you tomorrow.
Good night.